Hi, I'm Tom Pizio. I've had a unique experience over the last year and a bit, and I want to share it with you. I got to a point where I needed to create something. I wanted to create something online. I want to start with a social media presence. Yes, I've dabbled it in the past, but I needed to take a step. And in taking that step, I created something called Walk Your Path. The Walk Your Path framework came out of nothing. It was in some ways accidental. And when we look back at our lives, there's a lot of those moments that seem to come out of the ether or come out of wherever or divine timing, and they only make sense later on. And you have that within yourself as well. There's something that will come out of you, and with some of the steps that I'll cover, hopefully I'll be able to help. So let's take a step back. And I had a great career. I was director of sales for a medical dental company, and I had a great team that I worked with. The company became very successful, and we were sold. A few months later, I had a health crisis. A few months after that, I was let go from my position. I was at, as we would say, a rock bottom, and it was time to come out of that somehow, some way. Hopefully, you're not at that place where you're at rock bottom and you have the energy and the willingness to want to take that next step. But what I did find is when you're at rock bottom, it's almost as though that's the fuel, and that's the fuel that you can use or one can use to move forward. So if you find yourself at that 0 hour, that place where you're at rock bottom, and or that place where you've simply had enough, or you're fully motivated and you want to march forward, you want to get something done. You know that Venn diagram where you draw some circles? We'll draw 2 circles. And in the first circle, write down what you like to do, what you like having fun with, what's fulfilling. It could be working out, could be baking, it could be reading, it could be walking, whatever your list is, not someone else's. And then the other list or the other circle, write down what you're good at. Because you do have a list of skills that you're pretty good at. And if you're not quite sure, ask your friends. Ask them, what am I good at? And now you've got these 2 circles, and look at what intersects and see what the commonalities are. Again, what you like to do and what you're good at. And since we're starting, a fun project, why not do those things that are fun, but you're actually pretty good at as well? So something that I knew I would have to do if I wanted some different results, I had to become better. So there were some skills I was going to have to learn, but the easiest way to learn those skills would be to find a new group of people to work with, new people to understand, their thought processes. So go back to that Venn diagram. When I had done mine, I had looked at, the ideas of coaching, writing, speaking, communicating, and I wanted to do it digitally because I want to have the ability to be mobile. I didn't want to be tied to an office. I didn't want to be driving into a location through traffic and so on and so forth. I felt that I had earned a certain level of ease as I had entered into a new vintage of my life. So I joined a group called Blue Talks, and that really led me to an entire new group of people that were truly like-minded in the area that I wanted to pursue. Now, for yourself, to find that list or to find that group or where they might be, they're online. There are just so many of them. Do a very, very simple Google search and keep refining. And there are so many master classes, there are so many webinars in every possible discipline that you could think of. So once you've defined that middle area in your Venn diagram, find those groups, become part of them. To become part of them, there's not really an investment required, just your time. And you could be scrolling on your phone, you could be watching TV, you could be doing mindless activities, and we're all guilty of those. Or you could start investing into yourself. And the biggest investment that you'll make initially is time. And start with a few moments, maybe an hour here, an hour there per week, and you will be surprised, pleasantly surprised at the results. So now that you've entered into a new group or a few new groups, you need to upskill. There are certain skills needed in the 2025s, 2026 times that we didn't necessarily need 5 or 10 years ago. And so this is well beyond computer basics, but you do need some AI basics. You need to understand some large language models. That's a fancy way of saying ChatGPT or Gemini. Some graphics in terms of Canva. It's not that difficult. And along the way, you'll get help from the new group that you've joined. And in turn, at some point, you'll be helping others as well. In modules 1 to 3, you're laying the foundation. Before anything moves forward, you have to stop. Module 1, the inventory, is about getting honest. Not with who you were, but where you are. What you're good at, what actually energizes you, and where those two overlap. This isn't about chasing passion or clinging to expertise. It's about separating competence from fulfillment so you can see the path clearly. Once you know what you're working with, Module 2, the realignment, asks a harder question. Who are you taking direction from? Some relationships belong to your history. Others belong to your future. You don't cut people off. You just stop using old maps to navigate new terrain. Growth requires a new circle, or at least a new reference point. Then comes Module 3, the beginner's mind. This is where pride gets checked at the door. Experience still matters, but it's no longer enough. You learn the tools, you understand the landscape, you become literate in the world you're stepping into instead of outsourcing your voice. Curiosity replaces certainty. Momentum replaces hesitation. The first 3 modules don't produce results you can post. They produce clarity, and clarity is what makes the next steps possible. I had some early success with Blue Talks. I was invited down to Columbia University to speak. I actually emceed the event, and then I appeared on the NASDAQ billboard. Wow, everything was great. And then I got home, and there was a bit of a crash. There was a bit of a letdown. And when I looked back, I realized I hadn't had the consistency that I needed to have. And that's really when the journey began. It was a lot of head scratching. I wasn't sure what was going to be next, but I kept my long-term vision in my mind. And I wanted to create something. I wanted to give birth to an idea, and I didn't know what it was. Lo and behold, someone I had met in New York had posted a video, a very, very simple video of them going to their cottage through a forest on the road. And I said, I have a forest in the backyard. Let's go back there and see what I can do. And that was the birth of Walk Your Path. And so now it's time to execute. I had the idea in my mind. I said, okay, let's get back there and let's shoot our first video. And I shot it on my phone. I just used some basic equipment. I didn't even have a microphone or a tripod. And I walked back and it was shaky, and I walked through the forest and I was talking. I didn't really know what I was saying. And I got to a fork in the road. And the whole idea was you've got to decide in a direction. You can't just stay there. Now the grind. I had one video. I made two. I got to 10, 25, 50. I wanted to get to 100 in my first year. I wanted to just push out as much content and find my voice, find my ideas, find my step. And I recommend that you do the same thing. The key at this point during the grind is the consistency, is to shoot video, write a story, create a meme, and post, and just get yourself out there. You'll find that the momentum will actually start pushing you, and you start moving towards something that you're not sure what it is, but you know you're going somewhere. Don't worry about how many likes you get. Don't worry if it's perfect. Don't worry about that. Just get the content out there. Create some volume. And another little tip is, with all of my recordings, I moved it into TurboScribe. And what TurboScribe will do is that program, which is free, will take what you have said and then transpose it into text. And then you're able to save everything that you've created. And you could feed it into chat or into one of the other AI tools. And you can start to see different messages that will come through your speaking, through your content. Then you can create graphics, you can create memes. And one post can lead to so much more. And yet, for me, it took a while to get to that point. You could do it, in a matter of a few weeks or a few months. And then the grind for me was a year. That might be a lot less for you. And yet, by going through it, it's certainly going to bring you to a place that you can't imagine. Out of it, I was able to create a thought system called Walk Your Path. I was able to, with my videos, I was actually recognized, in the street, which is just kind of cool. And yet, I'm still working on what the ultimate would be. And when they do talk about, the journey is much more important than the destination, you'll discover that as well. But to go on the journey, you need to take the step, then the second step, the 10th step, the 1,000th step. And that's where the grind comes in. You can do it. In these modules, you were building momentum. Clarity is important, but clarity without movement goes nowhere. Module 4, you use what you have. This is where the waiting ends. You stop preparing for a future and start from where you are. No studio, no perfect plan, just a setting that's real and a metaphor that means something to you. The path doesn't appear after everything is ready. It appears when you take the step. In Module 5, imperfect action. This is where most people hesitate. They think quality comes before consistency. It doesn't. You start with simple tools. You accept rough edges. You post anyways. Progress isn't born from polish. It's born from showing up before you feel ready. In Module 6, the consistency engine. It turns effort into a system. You don't just create content. You build a rhythm. One idea becomes many. One recording becomes a library. You're no longer starting from zero each time. You're harvesting what you've already done. These modules aren't about talent or motivation. They're about momentum. Small steps repeated until movement becomes your default. This is where the path stops being an idea and starts becoming something you walk. After the grind, you've created this massive inventory of content, and now you get to repurpose it. So the one strategy I came up with, I called it Trailback Thursdays. Then I just went to Trailback, and I would take a video from the previous year and I would use it again. I would tweak the message slightly, but I would post it to give myself a break. Creating the 100 videos in the first year was a lot of work, But now I could create one video a week and then move to the trailback strategy. That way I had my second video. Now you've got a content inventory as well. So take a look at it and you'd be amazed at what you'll be able to repurpose. Now the next piece, you have an inventory, you've been creating content, you've been posting content, you're actually getting a bit of a following. People are noticing, people are reacting. So I pulled something from my Blue Talks days. I was a co-author of Blue Talks 14. And I had the idea, why don't I ask my community to take pictures of themselves with the book and around the world? So they would travel and they would have the book with them and they'd take pictures. They would send them in, they would post them, they would tag me, and I created a situation where I found a charity as well, and I made a donation to the charity. So I was trying to create this feel-good idea, and that's what I believe happened. It was another way for me to run a campaign through the summer months. Everybody was going on holidays, so simply ask, and as a pretty wise person says, ask and ye shall receive. It's just another wrinkle that you can put into your story, into your strategy, into what you're doing online. I'm sure you'll come up with something. So the ecosystem today looks a lot different than when I started. I started with taking one video and not really knowing what was going to happen. But what followed was incredible. And you have this same opportunity just by starting with one video. It builds in layers. It's not something that you're going to be able to stack immediately. But again, taking that first step turns into 1,000 steps. And when you look back, you're going to say to yourself, wow, look how far I've come. Now, when I talk about the ecosystem, again, we started with one walk, one video. And along the way, as I'd mentioned before, I've been transcribing the videos and putting them into TurboScribe. So I've been taking that and creating a text database, a searchable database that then I've been able to turn into a blog, turn into a book, into a course material, posting them on social media, at Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. That's where I like to post. And then creating the Friday frame, which then in turn repurposed some old content. Now, once you've built up a history, it's pretty phenomenal what you're going to be able to do, leading to a website, leading to publishing, leading to speaking, leading to so many other avenues. By this point, the library is growing, and that changes the game. Module 7 is about sustainability, not grind. Instead of forcing non-stop new output, you start replaying what already works, in season, on purpose. It's a simple shift. Fresh content keeps your voice current, and trailback keeps your present consistent. You're not doubling production, you're compounding it. Moving to Module 8 with community engagement, you're expanding. It's where the path stops being a solo walk. You create a ritual where people can join in, such as Where is Blue. Now your audience isn't just watching, they're participating. They're sending photos, adding moments, and helping carrying the story forward. That's a shift from broadcasting to community building, and it's one of the clearest signs your brand is maturing. Module 9 is about the ecosystem today. It's working as a rhythm. You're no longer posting randomly. You're running a mix. Short form keeps you present. A weekly Friday frame goes deeper. A monthly blog turns transcripts into long-term assets. And Trailback keeps the whole library alive. It's one system across platforms. And no more work, just smart reuse with a schedule you can actually keep. We've gone over a variety of things. One thing I want to cover right now in a summary format is the hardware that I've used. I shoot all my videos on my phone, and it doesn't necessarily matter which phone you have, just something you're comfortable with, something that you can use. To enhance the sound a little bit, I incorporated a lav mic. You can buy them for $20 on Amazon, and everything gets funneled into my MacBook, and that's where I'll do the processing of the text, processing of the video, and final edits. You can use your phone exclusively. At a certain point in time, it will be easier with a computer. That's why I would suggest, whether you get a PC or, use the Apple ecosystem as I do, it will make things easier for you. You'll be able to work with your database. You'll be able to work with other programs. I found that simple. I'm going to carry on now and go through some of the computer services that I use. I use Apple Photos. I find that I can store everything that I need there. From there, I move it into iMovie, whether it's a photo, whether it's a video. And in terms of storage, iCloud, I've upgraded to the 200 gigs, which isn't really that much. It's $4 a month. And they maintain all my data. You can buy external hard drives. That's up to you. I haven't done that yet. I use ChatGPT for ideas. Actually, now you can input the video. It will now transcribe it. I've used TurboScribe, as I've mentioned in the past, but now Chat will do it for you as well. I created a logo through Fiverr where I had somebody create a logo for me for, I think it was $30, $40. And then use Canva to do a lot of the other editing that I'll use with individual photos that I will take, or actually I'll just crop out of my video. And I've created a website. I use GoDaddy. There are so many platforms out there. Find one that works for you. When I started on this journey, I really didn't know where it was going to take me. I made one video. I made 2 videos. Then I was consistent with my effort, and I was consistent with my effort in posting. And after a year and a half, I have this inventory of content, and it has spurned other things. From that content, I can create graphics from it. I've been asked to do podcasts. Now I've been able to create this course and talk to others about what I've been able to do, starting from virtually nothing and simply uploading content. But you need to start. You need to create the sand. Then you need to sift the sand for the gold. And then you're going to find some patterns. You will find what will work for you. In the end, you will look back and you'll say, wow, I did it. I look forward to seeing what you're able to create. Walk your path.